everybody out there. Welcome to the eye test. This is a little different for us. We're filming in a day, so I'm happy. But anyway, how you doing today, Shawn?
Man, I'm doing all right, man. Speaking of different location, different times, I'm in a different location now. I'm at my cousin's apartment, but quarantining back from a trip, so it is what it is. But I'm comfy. Got a nice little couch right here. I don't got all the cool stuff in the back. You know what I'm saying, like Mark do. You know what I'm saying, but I never do. I never do anyway. So You know what I'm saying? I was hoping that, the light coming in, what I'm saying, from the windows was going to like drown some of that out. I think it was, man. I shouldn't have said nothing to you, man. I should have just kept it the same. Like, no, you can see everything. But no, he went and fixed it. He fixed his lighting situation. So now you can see the ridiculous things that he has in the back, and like, first off, I really want to know where you were able to find a Crown Royal it's a box. It's a Crown Royal box in the back. It has the Eagles logo on a Crown Royal bag. I'm trying to understand where you even find that.
All right. So, listen, Frank. My week was excellent as well. For those that don't know, my birthday was just...
Hold up, man. Is that leather? That shit better not be leather. Come on, man.
It is football leather. Like, it is literally the leather of a football with the Eagles embroidery. This was a birthday present from my Uncle Eric. And it was so nice that I was like, I'm not going to open it. For those, I haven't opened this yet. Like, it still has the plastic seal on it. And look, you see the zipper in the back. This joint is fire.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm utterly disgusted by everything that is happening right now. But I mean, I guess y'all missed, you might have heard the little zipper sound on the audio. Y'all, so on the front it has the Crown Royal, the regular stuff, and it has the Eagles logo above it. But then on the back, it's football stitching. It has a football stitching pattern on the back. And when he unzipped it, it unzips down like a woman's dress, right down the stitching of the football. This is ridiculous. Come on, man. I'm not gonna lie, disgusted, Mark. You could do a lot better than that. Your man's dwelling is turning into a man cave real fast. That's what
okay. It sounds like you're jealous because that shit is straight fire. That is pure fire.
No, I can't wait for the YouTube drop. I'm gonna need people to tell me what they think about that for sure.
Dog, you 1,000% know that's fire, and you're just mad because nobody is stitching San Francisco on a Crown Royal bottle anywhere. So
stop this, man. Please, hey, if you guys are out there, Christmas is coming up. I get that. Please do not send me anything that looks like this.
Okay,
do not send me anything that looks like this.
So,
you know what? We'll let the fans decide. You know what I'm saying? We'll let the viewers decide when the YouTube drops. Okay, we'll do that. Maybe I'll put up a poll.
The hate is strong within you. It astounds me.
It's fucking up the feng shui in the back. I'm just trying to help you out, Mark. I'm trying to help you out.
Your hater levels is astounding at this point. I don't know what to tell you. It rivals that of Darth Vader himself.
Stop it.
I don't know what to do. I don't know where
I'm trying to help you out. If you don't want my advice, that's fine. Don't take my advice. That's cool.
It's okay. It's cool. Like I said.
But you know what I'm saying? If you want to take the ugly sweater that your grandma gave you and put it in the back, to let her know that, you enjoy her gift, you know what I'm saying? Then you do that,
Wow, well, it is what it is, man. So, the only thing I think the only bottle of Crown that would look more fire than that is probably the Baltimore Ravens if they were on a Crown Royal bottle.
That would be fire.
Because of their colors.
Yeah.
But, that shit is fire. But anyway, but yeah, man, like I was saying, my birthday was this past weekend, and I am living my life pretty much like the memes, man. You know how they were like, you got a trick for the PS5 and all that. Well, that's pretty much what my birthday presents was me getting money so that I can purchase my PS5 and my Xbox come November. So that's pretty dope. I'm pretty set up in that way. And lo and behold, one of two of my best friends and it arrived today, and I am using it today. But one of two of my best friends bought me this neat little gift here. He bought me a Yeti. As you can see, it's a Yeti microphone. It's great for podcasting, great for streaming, all that good stuff. It's a nice little gift. He's a great friend. I thought I was talking to him now, but apparently I'm talking to a.
Oh no, I'm still the guy. I'm still the great friend.
Oh, okay.
Your real friends will tell you that your baby is ugly.
Oh wow, that's insane! Wow.
Yo, that football in the back, that football with the stitching of that eagle on the back. You know what? We off that. You know what I'm saying? Happy birthday, brother. You know what? So, you know what? The only thing that's important is that you enjoy your gift. You know, say you enjoy the gift, and it means something to you. Then there you go. I guess you know.
Yeah, it does. It means a lot to me, and don't be a hater.
Well, I'm glad that you like it, Mark.
Yes, I'm enjoying my microphone as well. But anyway, man, how was your trip? I know that unfortunate circumstances for the reasoning for your trip, but
yeah. So my trip was a little good. It was good. It was bad. It was everything, you know, under the sun as far as emotionally, but. You know, the best thing about my trip was I got to see a lot of my dad's side of the family. Both sides, my mom and my dad's side, have a lot of people. So a lot of the cousins that I haven't met before, period, and some of them that I've only met once before, we got to see them all, and having all of them in one location doesn't happen very often. So we tried to make the best of a difficult situation, you know, having to bury my grandfather. But, you know, everybody was there, and we were back in St. Thomas, where most of my family is from, born and raised, you know, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents. So it was kind of a beautiful thing, man. And it was a little refreshing to get out into some outdoors and have some greenery, eat some fresh fruit, you know, fresh fish, all that stuff. So all in all, the trip was pretty good, and you know, put a lot of things in perspective for me, and I'll leave it at that. So,
all right, good, good to hear. That yeah, at the very least, you were able to gain some perspective. Well, with that being said, man, you ready to get into these topics of the day?
Yes, 1,000% ready, man. I'm so ready right now.
All right, excellent. I think today we'll start off with baseball. So it seems like it must be something in the water in Atlanta, because apparently just blowing leads is what they do down there. I do not know what's going on outside of, I don't know what's going on out there. I don't know what's in the water. But whatever it is, it's causing them to blow leads and give women fat asses.
Hey, Mark? I'll tell you, the good Lord giveth and the good Lord taketh away.
Apparently,
sacrifices got to be made, Mark. You can't win in everything, man.
Apparently, and I'm gonna tell you right now, if that's the sacrifice, I'm taking it. Like, it's cool.
I'm just saying. Look, you gotta give something up, man. You can't have it all.
So I bet apparently Atlanta, you can't have good sports teams because all your women got fat asses, and this is just how it is. Sorry.
I'm saying, well, look, you gotta give something up, man.
So how you feel about the Braves blowing that 3-1 lead, man?
This is, you know what, man? It's just funny to me because people think that this is new. People are, I know there's some fans out there that don't really watch baseball like that, and they're looking at everybody knows the landscape of what's been happening with the Atlanta Falcons recently, and and if they just so happen to be Georgia Bulldogs fans, then they also understand that the choking happens there as well. But with the Braves, they are the originators of the Atlanta choke. You know what I mean? People like that's one thing that we know when it comes to football, basketball, hockey, baseball is defense. Defense wins, right? And your best defensive player that you have in baseball is your pitcher. That's who's going to control everything. You have a good pitcher, then you can win games. Well, Atlanta happened to have 3 Hall of Fame pitchers on the team at the same time in the 90s. And these dudes would go and win the division every year. You know what I'm saying? They would be the number 1 team coming out of their, their conference or whatever, So, but they would always be the favorites to win a World Series. And every single time they would make it to the World Series, they would just shit the bed. You know what I'm saying? This is what they do. You know what I mean? And it's almost like the Braves were like, yo, everybody's ranting and raving about these Falcons. Man, I feel like they forgot about us. You know what I'm saying? So now they're just like, you know what? Now is the best time to make our entrance. But I don't know, man. Something's a little creepy about it, man. You get the Falcons that actually get a lead, don't blow it for the first time this year. Man, Mark, come on, man. I felt it as soon as that happened. I was like, there's no way that the Braves are going to win this game. It's not going to happen. There's no way.
Like, one of your teams won, but you both can't win.
Mark, there has to be balance. There has to be balance. So much good happened in that Falcons game. Like, I'm talking about, they didn't just get a lead, keep it. It was a landslide victory. It was too much, Mark. It was too much happiness going on in Atlanta. And I was like, yo, it's about to go down. It's about to happen. And then they can't even lose in regular fashion. It has to be a walk-off. It has to be a walk-off in the ninth. It's just like it's everything that you would want from an Atlanta series. if you're just looking and hoping for the worst to happen, like if you were hoping for the train wreck, it was the most beautiful train wreck that I've ever seen. And I watched the replay of old buddy in his strut and his home run strut, and I'm talking about it was so disrespectful. Like I don't get into the politics and baseball with the disrespect and you should do this and you should do that, all the unwritten rules. I absolutely hate it. But I'm not going to lie, man. If I was a Braves fan or a Braves player and I watched him do that home run strut, dog, I would have been throwing shit at him. But, it is what it is. Just another Atlanta team doing what Atlanta teams do. I don't know, man. They need to figure out, get in. I don't know what kind of black magic has been happening there. I don't know what's going on, but they need to dig into this because whatever's happening here is supernatural, Mark. This is not, there's some evil stuff happening, and whatever sins that they committed, they're paying for them right now. And they need to make that shit right.
Well, we already know the greatest sin is having a big butt and a smile.
All right.
So look, this is all the things that come with it. Unfortunately, when it comes to Atlanta, this is their issue. It's not mine. And I'm glad I just get to enjoy the fruits of their issue without having to endure their sports issues. So
yeah, I guess
So at the end of the day, it is what it is for them. So we will talk about the Atlanta game because even in that the Atlanta Falcons game, because even in that victory, there was defeat because Julio Jones was limping off the field and all types of other nonsense. Yep. So, but yeah, as far as the Braves go, this is very much par for the course for Atlanta, and I feel for all Atlanta citizens AT aliens, I apologize that you have to deal with this, but it just is what it is. The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. And you should be happy with what he's giving you.
This is, one more thing I want to add to it. Let's not forget about the Budenholzer Atlanta Hawks. You know what I'm saying? That was killing everybody in the regular season. You know what I'm saying? Making it to the playoffs as the higher seed and then getting trounced by LeBron, you know what I'm saying, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like, it's just one of these things, man. It's just like they can't do it. They can't do anything right, man.
I'm telling you, man. I told you my theory. I'm not going to reiterate it.
No,
it is what it is. It's in the water. Let's just put it like that. It's in the water.
Yeah,
for sure.
They're gonna have to. Sacrifices have to be made.
For sure, certainly they have to be made. And moving on, we do have a UFC fight coming up this weekend. And where it's Khabib versus who is he fighting? Not Ferguson.
Give me a second. I'm gonna look it up. I'm not remembering off the top of my head.
That's gonna bother me.
Got that?
Versus Guthan Gaethje.
Okay.
Whatever, however you pronounce his name.
Okay.
But yeah, we will be covering that. We will be covering the results of that fight this coming weekend. But right now, I just want to ask you. So, what's your early predictions for that fight?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Straight up and down, Khabib is one of my favorite fighters to watch at this current time. I might just be a little bit biased, you know. I feel like he's very calculated about how he approaches fights, and he's very calculated about how he's calculated in the ring as well when he fights. I don't think he really has any real weaknesses per se. Like, there isn't like a glaring weakness that you can attack on Khabib. He definitely he's a guy who you never have to question his heart. So which I like those type of guys. Like I said, I was a BJ Penn fan, you know, GSP guy. So like I just feel like,
you know, I don't get you, Doug. How can you be a BJ Penn fan but not be a fan of showboaters? Like, you are a Roy Jones fan, you are a BJ Penn fan, but
I'm not a Roy Jones. I'm not a Roy Jones.
Claim to hate showboaters.
First off, let's keep it a buck. I'm not a Roy Jones fan. I never liked Roy Jones. I never liked Roy. And somebody asked me the question, and I told them it's not even that I don't like Roy Jones. I never liked his competition. Like I said, if you're gonna showboat against the best, and then I'll respect it. It's a reason why I respected T.O. doing all the things that he was doing.
And that's another person that you're a fan of, is T.O., who is King Showboat. You better get your popcorn ready.
Hey, you know what? I'm okay with I'm okay with T.O. Let's get into this. We're gonna put that UFC shit on hold for a second. Let's get into this, man, because T.O. was different. T.O. was only showboating once he got in the end zone. That's different than Cam Newton flexing and giving the first down every time he gets a first down. It's different than Zeke, like somebody, you know, in the sports group that I'm in with all the Dallas cats. They're talking about Zeke gets 1 yard gain, and then he's doing the feed me fucking motion. You know what I'm saying? That's the shit I don't like. That's the type of showboating I don't like. Like, you just out here showboating the showboat. T.O. is doing a touchdown celebration. He earned that. That's a touchdown that he got, okay? Now, T.O., my question for you is, How many times have you seen T.O. in a game down by 3 touchdowns and then in there showing his ass?
How many times I honestly can't recall.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. There's a way to go about it. You know what I'm saying? There's a way to go about it. But if you're going to like now I think what you meant to say is not Roy Jones. You meant to say Anderson Silva. I hated Anderson Silva all the way up until the point that he beat Forrest Griffin. Like all his showboating he was doing before, I'm like, yo, I want you to fight somebody that I think is going to challenge you. He fought Forrest Griffin, and he destroyed him. And he wasn't showboating in that fight. There was a couple times where he taunted him and told him to come on. But outside of that, he wasn't showboating in that fight. But at that point, I was like, fuck it. If he can destroy guys like that, if he's showboating against the best competition, then I'll accept it. But don't showboat when you're fighting a bum, you know? That's my problem with showboaters when it comes to that. But yes, BJ Penn. Please tell me about BJ Penn.
Yes, no. You tell me about BJ Penn.
What is wrong? What is wrong with BJ Penn and what he was doing?
We've had this discussion before, and that's what you call style bending, where I explained to you some of his antics after the fight. Like,
but that man licking blood off of his gloves? How was that?
No, it's not licking blood, dog. It's not. Stop. That's not what he did. That's not what he did. That's not what he did. His opponent was a bloody mess, leaning up against the fence, laying on the ground, and he ran up to him and wiped his hand across his face, and then licked the glove. So stop it. Like, that's totally different. He left his opponent was a bloody mess on the ground, and he wiped his hand across his face and then licked the glove. Like,
you know
come
what?
on, dog.
You know what? Just for you, Mark. Just for you, Mark. This is what I'm gonna do. Just for you, Mark. This is what I'm gonna do. I've seen 1,000 times worse. I seen it. Hey, Mark. I want you to tell me what's worse. His opponent, after being beaten, him wiping the blood off his opponent and licking it, is that worse than in the middle of a fight licking the blood off of your opponent's shoulder? Oh, Tyson Fury. We go act like that didn't happen. Like, which one is worse, Mark? Which one is worse? Which one is more of a showboating?
The question isn't which one is more of a showboating move. They're both showboating moves. And you say you don't like showboaters. So when you tell me that you like BJ Penn, who I also liked BJ Penn.
How many incidents like that does he have? I need more proof, Mark.
But here's another thing. You talk about how you like the consummate professionals, this, that, and the third. BJ Penn was anything but. BJ Penn was called the prodigy.
I did not say I like consummate professionals. I say I like guys that fight with heart. Like, BJ Penn would be getting his ass beat to a bloody pulp in the first 3 rounds or first 2.5 rounds of a fight, of a championship bout, and then he would come back and win because you know what I'm saying?
You're right. You did not say you like the consummate professional in this episode or in this particular time of speaking, but this is something that you have said in the past. And
when?
Listen.
Name somebody that I preferred, that I liked, that it was somewhere near my favorite, that I thought was that you think is a consummate professional. I'm a Gilbert Arenas fan. Was he a consummate professional?
You was again another example of
what are you talking about?
But here's thank you. But that's yet another example of you contradicting yourself.
What are you
talking about? You hate showboaters and you hate this, that, and the third. But but then you like people like Gilbert Arenas. You call yourself Agent Zero. Like, I'm trying to understand you. Like, your favorite people are showboaters and dirtbags, and yet you're like, I don't like these people.
Showboaters are dirtbag. Look, man. Look, you can call Gilbert Arenas a dirtbag. But we gonna call him a showboater?
But that's what I'm saying.
He's more known for being a dirtbag than a showboater.
Exactly, but that's why I'm not saying they're all in the. I'm not saying I'm saying T.O. is a showboater. Gilbert Arenas is a dirtbag. BJ Penn is a showboater. Like the people that you say you like, and the people versus the people versus you saying you don't like Izzy, and you saying, oh, what he did was a dirtbag move. Well, who cares if it was a dirtbag move? Because you like Gilbert fucking Arenas. Gilbert Arenas was waving his gun around and fucking Nick Young's girls. Like, what are we talking about?
He did that shit behind closed doors. I don't know what you want me to do, man. Like, what you want me? So
I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy.
He may have taken some jokes a little too far, but that doesn't make him.
I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy. That's all.
Yeah, I don't know if that. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying it.
You're not buying that you're a hypocrite in the people that you like?
No. In Gilbert Arenas, you can call him a showboater or whatever you want, but nobody had a better revenge tour than he did.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's one of the main reasons why. Like, that's what I'm talking about. He got that heart. He's like, you know what?
I know
all you motherfuckers up.
You can talk about a revenge tour all you want, but Gilbert Arenas better move to another country if Nick Young ever goes on a revenge tour. How about that? Because it's going to be a real issue.
Yeah. Nick Young might be his punching bag, but that's besides the point. It's Nick Young. Nobody cares. It's Nick Young.
Okay, that's what we doing.
It's actually, I do feel bad for Nick Young, man. Like first off, he been dealing with Gilbert Arenas as his best friend for his whole life, and then he got to get snitched on by a teammate. Like, I really feel bad for Nick Young, man. I really feel bad for him. But you know what? That's his fault because he allows Gilbert Arenas to do that to him. So, like, look, man, how am I supposed to be mad at Gilbert Arenas, or I should be mad at the person that allows that shit to happen?
Yeah.
I feel like it's Nick's fault. Next question, brother. Look, man. Look,
all right.
You know what? I'm just gonna let you know right now. There's nothing that you can say to me that is gonna make me feel any differently about Gilbert Arenas. So we can just stop this. We can just stop this conversation here.
But see, here's the thing. I know that, and I knew this when we had the conversation before. I just didn't get into it because we had so much else to talk about. But now things are starting to die down. And you brought it up. I could get into it, and now I can address it for the hypocrisy of the things that you're actually saying. Like, you do like showboaters and you like dirtbags. You just don't like Izzy because you're hating, and it is what it is.
Is that what it is?
I'm just pointing.
Well, fine then. How about this? Maybe if Izzy was better at showboating, then maybe I would like him a little better. You know what I'm saying? When Gilbert Arenas hits a 35-footer to end the game, and he turns his back before it goes down, and he goes like this, and he calls game. You know what I'm saying? That's a little bit better than just. It's a little more classy than humping somebody's backside while they're down on them.
So if he showboated with more class and more pizzazz,
I need more class. I need more class. I need more believability. Nobody cares that you over here talking trash to John Jones. Everybody think you're gonna get washed up by John Jones, man.
All right.
Do something different. But guess what? People might have thought that Gilbert was crazy when he was calling out Kobe, but he's the only person in life that can say that he dropped 60 on Kobe.
Listen.
Or 50 or whatever it was. Like, he's the only person. Like, you know what I'm saying? Izzy just be running his mouth. It's different, man. It's different.
I'm not trying to have another Izzy conversation.
We're not having an Izzy conversation.
But continue. Like, so.
You know what? Nah, man. You give your stuff. No, you talk about Khabib, man. You talk about what you think about the Khabib fight, yo. Yeah. I'm riding with Khabib. You know what I'm saying? I don't think anybody gets finished, and I'm riding with Khabib in a decision. Let's go.
Well, listen, it's funny that you say that you're not looking for you don't think anybody's going to get finished, because Justin Gaethje said exactly that he's coming in to cause brain damage. He said that he's coming in not to literally kill Khabib, but he's coming in to destroy him. And so he's doing all the right talk to say that this is going to be a show where one of us is going to get knocked out, or one of us, like, basically we're not making it to 5, like that, like we're not making it to the decision. That's what he's talking. Whether or not that's
But
true, I don't know. But
let me.
I
I have a certain amount of respect for him if I'm sitting here saying that it's going to go the distance. So I believe this is going to be a good fight. I'm waiting to see it. I wouldn't be surprised if you see them, get into it and do a lot of stand up. Even though Khabib is a more well-rounded fighter. But
yeah.
go ahead.
So with that, like, them fighting at lightweight, um, lightweights
Light heavy.
tend, yeah, lightweight tend to be a little bit more a little bit more entertaining. They tend to, like, the fight tends to be a little bit quicker and stuff like that. So I'm not necessarily sure this goes the distance, when when the lightweights get into it, there's usually not a whole lot of standing around going on.
No.
So
This is going to be a dog fight. Like,
yeah, so
yeah, I expect them to
it's
get
going.
each other's throats, but we're talking about tough guys. So
Yeah, they're definitely both tough. I agree with you that I have Khabib. Mostly I have Khabib because he takes his job seriously. Not that Justin doesn't, but, like, just Khabib takes his job seriously on a whole nother level, and it's no fucking around when it comes to training, when it comes to any of that. And it's just so, basically, for me, I have to see you knock him off his square before I believe he could be knocked off his square. So
yeah.
and so it's just going to be, I'm rolling with Khabib until somebody proves otherwise.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at this point. Like, they got what they say, you got to beat the champ to be the champ, man. And
Yeah,
you can't
28
time. You can't time. You got to beat them.
28-0 for a reason.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, let's move on, man, and let's get into a little part that, because I mentioned it just a second ago about how things are finally slowing down. And so, because I was sitting here and I was really thinking about it. Like, I found myself during this time where every sport was being played all at once. I found myself, like, having sports fatigue. Like, I just didn't want to watch every single thing that was going on all the time. Like, I was like, I want to watch some regular TV. I really don't care what they're doing over here. Like, or I want to read this book. I don't care what's going over here. Like, there's too much. It was basically, I don't want to ever see all 4 sports played at the same time ever again in my life. Like, it sounds like a dream when you, like, at first. It's like, yeah, you get all these sports, but then in actuality, it's like, no, I'm cool. I'm okay. How did you feel about it?
I felt like it was overwhelming in the sense of, I'm a person who's a fan of all the sports. I typically don't watch baseball until after the All-Star break. When it comes to hockey, I like to watch my team play, and if there's any other teams that I feel like are exciting to watch or that are good, I will watch them. Like, as of right now, I just watched the Penguins play and I watched the Golden Knights play, and and it's a thing to where I didn't really have an opportunity to do. I had to prioritize, man. I had to say, look, man, what's my priority? Well, I'd rather watch the NBA playoffs, and I'd rather watch NFL games over the baseball playoffs. And and I would say hockey I would put above their playoffs. I'll put their playoffs above baseball. But it's like, you got all of these things coming together and happening at one time, and it was just like, well, you got to pick and choose. So I didn't like the fact that I had to pick and choose. like I said, it was overwhelming, but trying to figure out when everybody was playing. You have multiple sports, multiple games coming on that you want to watch, and then just trying to manage the schedule of trying to watch everything is what like you were mentioning, like just sports fatigue, man. Like at this point, I'm feeling the fatigue. It feels like I'm finally breathing like a sigh of relief that okay, now I could just focus on football. And that's where it feels good that it's only football.
Yeah, like it definitely feels good that it's only football. I'm excited to just be able to talk only football, to be able to talk like just minor topics about other sports instead of being having to talk about all the topics all at once, or even just watching them all at once, even as a fan. Like it's a lot to keep up with, and I just have other interests outside of the sports that makes me not want to keep up with the 24/7. Um, but but yeah, so but one thing I expressed this before is that what I really did like about this was that this basically was a fight for the audience, and you actually got to see like these versus each other in crucial points, because of course football is going to beat basketball during like the beginning of the basketball season and when the football season is heating up and getting you to its most crucial points. But what we saw now was playoff basketball cannot compete with opening day football, or even with the first couple of weeks of football. Like it just like you just can't compete. Football is king by far in America, and that was just like an interesting thing to see play out for myself.
Yeah. People always wondered like what would happen, and you would think, like I thought, that NBA playoffs would at least be, better than a week 3 NFL game. And by wrong, because me, you, multiple other people were like, "Oh snap! There's a playoff game going on. Hold on, man. Let me."
Right.
Got a conference finals game going on, and everybody's just watching football, and it wasn't even like it was. We weren't even talking about like Sunday night game. We're just talking about just the second set of games was going on, and it was like, yo, there's no chance that NBA could compete. Like if anybody ever questioned whether how good they would do, I think it's almost to the point to where you could probably have week 3 of the preseason, the 1 week where all the starters play for like 3 quarters. I don't know if a regular season NBA game could compete with a week 3 preseason NFL game. Like it's just crazy.
Yeah, like it's honestly crazy how much football controls the sports landscape in America. So I just it's just a little interesting tidbit that I found for myself. But anyway, man, let's get into what we really here for, man.
Yes.
We're here for football. And one thing that I really wanted to talk about was in watching this weekend games, some things that I had for recaps or for things that I've noticed was watching Lamar Jackson play versus the Eagles. I basically watched him, and I've seen it throughout this season, but what I watched him do was basically I watched him try to play within the pocket or try to maintain, try to play I guess the pocket passer quarterback far too often, and it seems like this season he is making a concerted effort to develop his pocket passing and play outside of himself. And in my opinion, that's a mistake. Um, I've seen it I've seen it with other quarterbacks where they try to do that, where that doesn't work out, and what they do well diminishes because basically they spent so much time trying to focus on what they don't necessarily do well, that when they need to access the thing that they do well, they have trouble turning it on. One person, for like the person that immediately comes to mind for me, is Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb was a very dynamic quarterback, running and scrambling, and and mobile quarterback until he got injured, and then he decided, well, the team tried to make him more of a pocket passer and things of that nature, and in the pocket he was way less accurate. He was throwing everything at people's feet, and then you saw at times where instead of going through his reads and taking off, you would see him going through his reads and then still being back there and just scrambling side to side instead of gaining the yards where in the spots that he could or should. And I saw the same thing with Colin Kaepernick, and there's one more. Oh, Robert Griffin as well, where the team tried to change who he was and make him something that he's not, and it doesn't work out. But with Lamar Jackson, it feels like, I'm not sure what it is, but it seems to me that it's not the team that is doing this, it's him doing it to himself. And I just don't think that's a path that he in particular should go down. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. So I'm gonna be like, I feel like I can see it. I feel like he's going out of his way to try to prove. I feel like he's trying to prove a point. Typically, when this happens, I always feel like, hey, or it feels like it's very obvious that the team is trying to, quote unquote, protect an asset. You know what I mean? Like the quarterback shows out, they do good, they're amazing, they're making plays, throwing and running, throwing on the run, doing all these things. They don't get injured, but immediately they're like, okay, we have something. And then typically, if they don't do it right away after that season, then it usually comes after the contract, after that big contract comes. And then it's like, boom, okay, we're definitely, now that we paid you, we're definitely calling the shots on this. And hey, they talk to the coaches and they say, look, man, we don't need you letting them run it out here freelance. Like, you know, sometimes they'll even leave it, be nice enough to say, okay, we'll just run design bootlegs. You know, but we're not doing design runs. We're not doing, you know what I mean? We'll let you throw us out of pocket, but it's going to be a design bootleg, and we don't want you going anywhere. So it typically happens like that. But I feel like this case is different because you're dealing with John Harbaugh, who is a guy who always tries to construct the offense around what he has at quarterback or at running back. So he clearly, immediately, the second that they decided that Lamar Jackson was going to be the starter, I mean, the season prior to last year, it was late in the season when that happened, when they decided he's just going to be the starter. They benched, I don't know if people remember that, but they benched Joe Flacco in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. That's when Lamar Jackson became the starter, was in the playoffs. So he had the summer to think about it, and he constructed an entire offense around what Lamar Jackson does. So I find it very hard to believe that it's John Harbaugh that's pressuring him not to run. So that's out of the question. So this isn't like That's where it's different than the RG3 situation, the Kaepernick situation, and stuff like that. So that's my question to him is he's never felt like he had to prove anything to anybody. You know what I mean? I understand him saying, look, he was always of the mind of, look, I refuse to play any other position. I am a quarterback. You know, I felt like he had that confidence about him. Now, what I'm looking at on the field is he's clearly trying to prove something. He's got a chip on his shoulder. I guess the praise, the MVP stuff wasn't enough for him. He's looking at it as, look, I'm trying to, because guess what? Those same people that were hating on him when he came in, they still had a lot to say about him even after his performance for last year. So I feel like those are the people he's trying to silence right now. But at what cost? Because the offense they're winning games. They are. But their team looks less dynamic. They look more beatable than they did last year. I'm not seeing these 40-point games. I'm not seeing the 400 yards passing and 100 yards running games. I'm not seeing that. So, me personally, I just feel like he needs to get out of his own head when it comes to that, because the quarterback, out of every single position that exists in sports, quarterback is the only position for me that I believe you do not change. Every other position, yes, you should be working on your game. You should be doing all these other things in game. You should be making yourself a well-rounded individual. At quarterback, you should be mastering what works for you, and then the rest of that is left up to the coaches to construct a team around that. That's what should be happening. You should never be trying to change a quarterback. You as a quarterback should never be trying to change. I should never be looking at Ryan Fitzpatrick and saying, you know what, you should probably run more. No, just get better at what you do, and we'll take care of the rest by constructing an offense around you. So I feel like if he is trying to prove a point, he's making a mistake.
Right. Well, that's not fair to say, because you and I both believe that Patrick Mahomes changed who he was as a quarterback watching Alex Smith play. Because you and I both believe that in watching Alex Smith, he developed the ability to be able to check down, and instead of going for the top shot and throwing and showing off his arm like he so often did in college. So
okay, well then let me be specific then. He still takes off when he feels he needs to. Mm-hmm. He still throws when he feels he needs to. He still takes shots downfield when he feels he needs to. What he's doing and what he learned from Alex Smith is he learned how to be a more controlled version of himself. He learned to be a more efficient version of himself. Everything that he used to do in college, but he just does it more efficiently, which is what he should learn. I mean, it might come in a form of taking checkdowns, which I will say that is a big thing for him. But he did become a guy that is taking what is given, but he has not ignored, whenever a guy's going downfield to check down. You see what I'm saying? Like, he's not throwing his old self by the wayside to incorporate these new things into his game. Lamar Jackson is throwing his old self to the wayside while trying to be a pocket quarterback.
Okay, and that is fair. Because one particular instance that I saw yesterday, well, it's more than one, but it was one time where it stood out so glaringly that I was like, oh, this can't keep going on. Yesterday he was scrambling to the right, and you could see him going through his reads. While going through his reads, he didn't have a read. He was already holding on to and he could have took off. And I saw him look at what's in front of him, and in a typical fashion where he would have took off, juked the guy, and kept going, he didn't move forward and kept looking through his reads. And I was like, And I was like, no, that's not what you're supposed to do there. What you were supposed to do was which is what your first thought was, which was to take off. But I watched the gears turn where he was like, I'm not going to take off. I'm gonna see if I can still find the path.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then you ended up taking a sack where you shouldn't have. Now, yesterday in most games, I feel like he does that now because it's like, oh, it's okay. We're winning these games anyway, and we're winning them convincingly but you're winning these games convincingly until you're not. And basically, that's pretty much what happened on Sunday was you were beating the Eagles convincingly, and throughout the first half, and you could have put up a lot more points in the first half, but you didn't. And then when it came down to basically when the Eagles started with a heroic effort, the oh shit meter came on, and then now it was like, oh, you're taking off running now. Like, but instead of it being a natural thing, it was like, I have to do this now.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
Pressure induced. Like the
Yeah.
pressure was on, and I was like, okay, I have to do it. This is so. Here's an analogy that I'm gonna use then. So it's like imagine. Well, me and you have talked about this about how we feel about Steph Curry. I know it's basketball; it's a different sport, but we feel like a lot of times he's not being utilized as far as going to the basket as much as he could be.
Right.
Because he clearly has the ball handling skills. He has the ability to get to the hoop, at least draw the foul, but he has the ability to finish. And imagine if Steph Curry added that part to his game, but then decided he was only going to shoot 3 to 4 3-pointers a game. It's like, no, we want you to add this to your game, but continue doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like we still need you to shoot those 8 to 10 3-pointers a game because the entire offense is structured around that. That's the strongest point of our offense is the threat of you shooting that 3 and you actually shooting it. The threat that comes with Lamar Jackson being able to run the ball and nobody being able to really tackle him. It's very important. It's a very integral part of the offense that they're running with Baltimore. You know, there's a reason. I feel like the reason why Hollywood isn't getting as open and Hollywood isn't putting up the numbers that he should be is because right now the threat of the run with Lamar Jackson isn't as imminent during these games. You know what I mean? So yes, when people are cheating up just a little bit because you're on your 20th run play or your 20th time, about to take off in the first half of a game, yes, that defense is going to cheat up a little bit. A pump fake might work a little bit more effectively. There's all those little things that the defense is going to do to adjust that is maybe only going to make a half a second difference. That half a second difference it's a huge difference for a guy like Hollywood Brown who has the speed that he has. These are the things that are going to make the offense better and more effective is him being able to immediately, without thinking, just instinctually take off. Like, I am not a fan of players ignoring their instincts to try to force something else. And that's what he's doing. He's ignoring his instincts and he's ignoring his number one weapon to try to force the issue of throwing within the pocket.
Right. I feel as though the answer is somewhere in the middle. Because I do understand, that you do want to develop to be a better passer, but I just don't want to see you in doing that. Stop, lose what you're so amazing at, and basically you should develop. In my opinion, you should develop that through doing what you're so amazing at. Let the pocket passing come to you. Don't force it in a way of if you're already doing what you're amazing at, which is making your 1 to 2 reads in taking off, or making your first read and taking off, or rolling out for a pass and then taking off if need be, in those situations, if they're already prepped for that, and they're laying back, or they're playing contain because of what you're doing to them. Now you could catch them with their pants down, and now you have that time to sit in the pocket and look around.
Yeah.
But if you're already, but so make it easier on yourself by continuing to do what you already did well.
Now remember what I told you about them, and I felt like their guys were just always open. Mark
Right.
Andrews was always open. Those guys, now I'm seeing Mark Andrews make athletic catches and do all these things. I mean, he's proven to me that he is that guy. But the reason why it's happening is because he's being covered. You know, all these guys are being covered now, and
Right.
it has a lot to do with that threat of the run not being as imminent. The one thing I'll say just to end this is there's two situations that I can think of off the top of my head to where it was accomplished. Like Michael Vick with the Eagles,
Mm-hmm.
he threw a lot more from the pocket when he was there, but he was still taking off when he needed to, right?
Yes.
And it was a healthy balance, and that's the reason why he had that season that he had, you know. Um, and then I'm gonna go back to Randall Cunningham with the Vikings.
Yes.
They had the offensive weapons. They had the offensive weapons. So therefore, he didn't need to do all the work, all the heavy lifting. They had a decent offensive line. He didn't have to run as much. So guess what? He still ran when he needed to. He still ran when the opportunity was there. He still ran when it was the best way to pick up the yards. But he was still able to just sit back there and pass from the pocket a lot more than he had in the past in his career. So there's two examples of people finding that healthy balance and it paying off huge. So I feel like Lamar was closer to that last year than he is this year.
Yeah, man. You're absolutely right. So with that, let's just go ahead and move forward. And another thing I wanted to talk about is in keeping it with somewhat with the Eagles. Um, you and I, both of our teams is a shell of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your team more so due to injury than mine, at least in my opinion. My opinion is that injury, like although we have mounted injuries, the problem is much deeper than the injuries themselves. So, but my question to you as a fan, at what point do you want your team? At what point do you root for your team to lose so that they can break up whatever is going on and start anew?
See, that is a good point, and it's a good question. Fortunately for me as a Niners fan, I've never had to witness my team being in that window for very long. The only time that I can think of was the years after Steve Young retired and we had Jeff Garcia and T.O. That was that window where it was like we're just good enough to where if we maximize our potential, we can make it to the playoffs. We can maybe win one game in the playoffs, and that's about it. Like
Right.
that was like our ceiling, and we reached that ceiling. You know what I mean? We reached that ceiling during that time. But I always felt like that was the ceiling. You
Right.
know, and because that whole situation blew up on its own, I never had to get to that point as a fan to actually have to root for my team to lose. But I guess for me, that like that breaking point for me would have to be Whew. Like Eagles, like I'll be honest with you, with where your team is at, I would be close to that because when it comes to contracts, when it comes to injuries, when it comes to the age of the players, when it comes to the coaching staff, and it comes to the GM, all of those things, I don't see any of those situations improving. And if the only thing that you can hope for is perfect health, that's completely out of control. You can't do anything about that. You can't hope for that. And if you guys are going to continually be somewhere between 7-9 and 9-7, then your draft position, because your GM isn't drafting very well, then it's one of those things to where the only way to break the cycle, to me, in my eyes, would be, hey, we just need to lose. We either need to clean house or we need to lose. Like, so as far as the blowing up point, it would have to take 3 or 4 mediocre seasons between 7-9 and 9-7 to really make me think, okay, man, this is enough. I'd rather us lose than to watch us sit in mediocrity, because I understand that we're missing out on franchise quarterbacks. We're missing out on game changers at running back and wide receiver. That's what 4 seasons being mediocre is enough for me, and that would be my breaking point.
Okay, I understood. And for me, I get there a lot faster than most.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it right now. I get to that point a lot faster than most. Mostly because when I see the writing on the wall for something, then I'm ready. Then I'm like, all right, cool. I see it. I can predict how this is going to go from here. It's not going to get any better. Like, for instance, and like here are just some for instances that that are examples of times where it's like that, where the Sixers, and I've talked about this many times, so I'm not going to harp on it now, but Brett Brown was always supposed to be like, he's here for this, move on. You decided to keep him around because it was like, oh, it's not fair or whatever, but you decided to keep him around. But like, because in your tanking process, one thing that you saw from Brett Brown that should have told you, no, this isn't your guy, is not one player developed under him. Nerlens Noel didn't develop. The other center, dang it, Okafor didn't develop under him. No player developed under Brett Brown. And so now that you're coming out of tanking and you're taking on a young center who hasn't played a whole lot of basketball in his lifetime, but who has all the potential in the world, I'm not putting that guy in the hands of Brett Brown. And when you have a point forward who has one glaring issue that he needs somebody to mold him to help fix that glaring issue, I'm not putting him in the hands of Brett Brown, like, who has shown that he can't develop regular guys. And so these guys actually need care and a right game plan. I don't want to put those people in his hands. So when you go into the season and then you have the wins that you have, and you make the playoffs and stuff like that, and it's mostly built off of talent because your X's and O's have showed in the playoffs that your X's and O's is garbage. Your ability to be able to sit a player when you're supposed to is garbage. And then in your post-game press conference, you talk about, well, these guys are young. I didn't want to bench Ben Simmons because I don't want to do that to the player and destroy his confidence. Like, what are you talking about? that's something you say in the regular season. That's not something you say in the playoffs. So again, that's yet another thing that shows me, no, like you're not the guy for this because you can't recognize the difference between developing a player, like taking the time to develop a player in the regular season versus you need to get this done because now we're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So all those things I saw in a matter of 2 seasons. Like, you know what I mean? You see all those things. I saw it early. So after that first Boston series, I'm ready to be done with that guy. He needs to go. Gotta go.
Let me interrupt you just for a second. So basically what you're saying is once you feel like you see it and you notice it and you feel like this isn't going to change, that's it. That's it for you.
Yes, it's over.
Me, I give them the benefit of the doubt and say, look, I still want them to have the opportunity to try to fix it. Fuck that. They ain't even going to get the opportunity for me.
Well, because, and I'm going to explain exactly why that is, why for me, you don't get that opportunity. And because now what we have here is we have two seasons removed, right? And it was like, okay, they made it to the second round. And you could say they were a double doing shot away from actually winning that game and moving on. But they didn't move on. And either way, even in that game, that series was pretty much like Brett Brown's lightning in a bottle. That's like, we've never seen him coach like that ever before. Like, we've never seen it before. Like, so it was nothing. Everybody has at least one. So it was nothing to suggest.
We'll say that he even took the shackles off of Jimmy Butler,
right?
Like way through the series, like,
and right, you know what I'm saying. And that was also a lot to do with Jimmy Butler. So, which again points to your talent got you here, not you. Like the amount of players and your talent took over, not you. But to the reason why I would never once I see it, I'm not giving you the benefit of the doubt, is because now when Ben Simmons was young and Joel Embiid was younger, like they were a little bit more moldable. Like they were a little bit more malleable. You could help shape them into the way they are. And if you aren't going to be the guy, or if I see it, I'm not going to give you an opportunity for them to continue down the wrong path and then get hardened in their wrong path.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Because now,
like some of the, like if the longer they stay in that situation, the more irreversible the situation becomes the more irreversible the situation becomes for certain things and certain players, and
right.
I get that.
So like I need to fix it as soon as possible. And here's another example of that: the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay, before you get into that, I just want to, because I have to question you, man. I have to challenge you. So like I understand, but like as a fan, I just feel like I can't take myself there because my fanhood will not allow me to jump completely out the window on calling for somebody's head or calling for, a complete restructuring, or for me to just be like, okay, look, man, I've seen enough. I saw enough with Trent Baalke with the Niners at one point. I saw enough when they paid Kaepernick too much and they paid him a year early, but I still waited. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If a fan of me said, wait, you know what I'm saying? Wait till it's 100% crystal clear, So I'm saying is some people might question your fanhood, Mark.
Well, listen.
Some people might question your fanhood if you jumping off the boat that early and that. Well, quick.
No, listen, because understand, I'm not jumping off the boat with the team. I still love the team. The only team that I've ever jumped off the boat with is the Sixers, and that's and that has to do with ownership.
That's something
ain't
separate.
That's something separate entirely.
That's why I'm speaking in general terms. Like,
Right.
would you jump off? Like, I know you already been calling for Doug Peterson for years. You've been calling for him for a change since, or not even Doug Peterson. I would say GM. What's the GM?
Howie Roseman.
Howie Roseman. You've been calling for his head since literally partway through the season, the next season after the Super Bowl. So I get it, but
Right.
But I'm saying, like, but you weren't calling for your team to just be bad. What I'm saying is, I can't see myself seeing a situation being at its peak worst, and then just immediately in that moment being like, okay, this year is our peak worst. Tank.
Well, no. Sorry, don't get me wrong. I'm not calling for, like, it's a weird thing because I'm not calling for a tank. Like, I'm not calling for a tank. It's basically I'm watching every game and I'm like,
and you're hoping that they just naturally lose.
Yes, like I'm like, just don't win. Like, because I need this, because like I don't want to see another year of mediocrity. Like, basically, and like which brings me back to what I was saying about Cincinnati. Because we watched Marvin Jones for 10 plus years be mediocre as fuck, like extra mediocre, and get an
extra medium. Yeah, like yeah, go ahead though.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we watched this dude be for years and 10 plus years, and we watched that every year. And what did we watch in that time? We watched Andy Dalton be. Hold on, excuse me. Let's go back. What was the
Palmer?
Carson Palmer. We watched Carson Palmer get wasted in Cincinnati and go to and then eventually go to the Cardinals and be great. We watched Chad Ochocinco get wasted in Cincinnati. We watched the Chad Ochocinco and T.O. duo get wasted in Cincinnati. Yeah. We watched A.J. Green's entire career be wasted in Cincinnati, all under Marvin Jones, because you just kept giving him another shot because it looked like it had some level of promise, even though every year has shown you he should have already been gone.
Yeah, Marvin Lewis, excuse me. Yeah.
Not Marvin Jones, Marvin Lewis.
But Marvin Lewis should have been gone. Yeah. Like, God, so I can't even, you know what, man, I can't even argue with you, man. I'm such a Chad Johnson, Ochocinco fan. Like, that's probably the most disappointing thing to me, man. He would be to me, he would be past, or he could have had Marvin Harrison's career. Yeah. Those two people, to me, you know, I'm saying outside of Jerry Rice, those two people to me are the best route runners that I've ever seen. You know, and that's saying a lot, because I'm not saying like DeAndre Hopkins and Antonio Brown are not very far behind those people, but you know what I'm saying? He could have had Marvin Harrison's career if he was somewhere else.
Yeah,
easy.
Like, I'm going, like, I can name a lot of players that were actually on that team and that were fired, that were excellent players, and somehow those Marvin Lewis teams only produced one playoff win.
Man, but I get it. Yeah, if I was a Bengals fan, yeah, I would have already been hoping for my team to lose years before now. Like, yeah,
right. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, and you see now what it's taking for Cincinnati to pull themselves up from the hell that was Marvin Lewis for 10 plus years. Like, you literally missed out on the greatness of A.J. Green's career, which should have produced high playoff games, high playoff chances, but you lost out on that because Marvin Lewis was your head coach for so long. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, and I'm looking at the Eagles, for instance, and I'm watching DK Metcalf be great somewhere else. I'm like,
I'm sorry. The
I'm,
passion you had behind those words, Mark. You know?
I'm, I'm, wa-
Like,
I'm watching Justin Jefferson be great somewhere else.
I have a question for you. I have a question for you, though, Mark. How does it feel as an Eagles fan? Like you said, you're watching DK be great somewhere else. How does it feel when you watch or you see Seahawks fans like Ricky talk about how they just like, yo, come on, DK, get it together? Like, how do you feel when you? I know that shit gotta burn you up inside seeing him complain like about first world problems when you got third world wide receivers on your team.
But see, that's exactly what it is. It's first world problems, dog. It's like, oh man, are you serious? I can't have lobster with this steak right now. Why am I even having the steak? And you flip the table over, like,
Yo,
get the hell out of here. Like, it's okay, but I understand you don't understand my problems where when I'm opening up a can of Spam and I got a plastic fork. I understand you don't understand my problems. Like, so I get it.
That's funny though. Yeah, like I ordered the shrimp. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't like.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
They wanted DK Metcalf without the drops, and you like, look, man, I'll take DK Metcalf with the drops. I don't care. Just give me something.
Right. I'm over here hoping that I'm hoping for an undented can of SpaghettiOs. And meanwhile, you shopping for filet mignon. Like, get out of here, dog.
I'm sorry, man. That's just a pretty good analogy, man. Jalen Reagor would be the dented can of SpaghettiOs. Yes, he would be that. Yeah.
So, like, that's what bothers me, man. Like, so, but back to what I was saying about that. Like, I'm watching these players be great elsewhere. I'm watching Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson be great elsewhere. And the reason why I bring those two up is because in the year where we jumped up and then jumped again to get Carson Wentz, Howie Roseman's words about why we jumped up was that I looked into the future and I didn't see any great quarterbacks coming out of college. So we had to take this great guy now. Now, I have very few issues with Carson Wentz as a human being. I have very few issues with him as a player. But those few issues are compounded when you say something like that. And I knew damn well that Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson were coming out the very next year. And not only that, but a guy that went in the third, fourth round, because I can't remember exactly when he went, performs on Carson Wentz's level. And that was within the same draft. And I'm talking about Dak Prescott. Like, regardless of the mistakes that Dak Prescott makes at times or whatever, Dak Prescott...
You can't be mad at them for the like, you speaking in hindsight right now, man.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
I will say Deshaun Watson. Everybody knew what Deshaun Watson was going to be. I'm not going to lie. I would have been waiting for next year. But
yeah. Like, dog, like, what are you talking?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? Hindsight. Like, would you like me to go into my Facebook memories?
We didn't know Dak was going to be Dak.
Would you like me to go into my Facebook memories?
No, you do whatever you feel like you need to do. Hey, calm down, Mark. I'm your friend, okay? Calm down. Hey, I'm feeling a little aggression from you right now. Like,
cause just don't say it's hindsight when you read my Facebook post that has said, like, yo, I wanted Zeke and we could have took Dak Prescott. I said those things.
I will say
when the draft happened.
Well, okay, and I will say this. Me and you both talked about that draft where you had Jared Goff and you had Carson Wentz. And we both said that I felt like they were going to be Matt Stafford and Sam Bradford. And that was my original take on it. And we had a whole conversation about why is it that when there's no real standout college quarterbacks coming out that they always just attach.
First one.
They attach to the top two guys, and then all of a sudden a narrative gets spun about them being great. Not even while they're playing their last year. During the months leading up to the draft, it always happens every single time. And I felt like I fell for that before. You know what I'm saying? I felt like I fell for that before, and I was like, these guys are Sam Bradford and Matt Stafford at best. And right now, I mean, what can I say? I don't know. I might rather have Sam Bradford than Carson Wentz right now.
Listen, man.
I don't know.
Listen, Carson Wentz played a hell of a game in the second half. In the second half of this last game, so it is what it is.
But we need consistency. You need consistency.
Yes.
You need him to not look so erratic back there, man. But either way, but you get my point. So I'm going to respect you and say that we did have that conversation about you never wanting them to draft Carson Wentz in the first place. So yeah, but no, I get what you're saying. Man.
Yeah. So with that being said, I honestly but the problem is so much deeper than just Howie Roseman. Like, it's so much deeper than just Howie Roseman. I watch every single year Doug Peterson has to answer for a press conference as to why he didn't run the ball enough. Every single year. And like how
he ain't figured out yet.
Hasn't figured it out yet. And somehow it's almost, and now this year it's almost weekly. Like every game, so you ran for 80 yards in the first half, but then in the second half only ran the ball 3 times. Why? You know what I'm saying? I watch this every week. And then I watch him make questionable decisions about when he calls the timeout. I watch him make questionable decisions about what play call he had. Do you know that he said he ran out of plays to call on that 2-point conversion at the end of the game?
How do you run out of plays to call for a 2-point conversion?
Just call a short yardage play. What are you talking about?
How many 2-point conversions did y'all go for that you ran out of two-point conversion plays? It doesn't make sense.
But why does it have to be a 2-point conversion play? Why can't it be a short yardage play? You mean to tell me you don't have 7 to 8 yard pass plays in your book? You don't what are you talking about? Shut up. Help me make sense.
I can't help you with that. Sorry. You know what I'm saying? What do you do when you get down to the 2-yard line on a regular drive? And do you just say, well, looks like we're out of juice here, guys?
What do you
into the sand now?
What do you do when it's third and 2? Do you be like, I don't got no plays for this, I ran out? You still need 2 yards. That's all you need. What are you talking about? Shut up. And then, here's another thing as to why I have a problem with Doug, is because, again, like Brett Brown, I'm looking at your history. I'm looking at how things track. And with Brett, and when it comes to Doug Peterson, I remember him as the Chiefs offensive coordinator. I remember what that was like. And I remember the year that we hired him, that last year of being the Chiefs offensive coordinator. Do you remember that playoff game where they didn't call a timeout and then
typically remember that? Yes.
And do you remember who was in charge of that at that time?
Look,
because I do.
I do remember them choking that shit away, because the one thing that stood out to me was y'all got a lead and y'all went ultra conservative and let them come back. I remember that game.
So, but I'm gonna just point out that Doug Peterson was calling the plays for that Chiefs team. He was in charge of the timeouts. It came out in the press conference that that's who was in charge of that. And yet the nepotism of the Eagles said, oh, we want that guy. because he's on from the Andy Reid tree and we just want to revisit the same shit that we've already done. Now, mind you, he had the blessing of John DeFilippo and the great Frank Wright apparently to bring him home, and we have a Super Bowl win, which is why it was all lightning in a bottle, because you just had the perfect guy with the perfect situation, with the perfect this, with the perfect Philly play to do this, and the perfect quarterback to remind you that you even have a Philly play to call. Because you know what's funny? Hold up. Because you know what's funny about that? Because it was on sports radio today. I was reminded of the fact, or at least I was made aware of the fact that when you rewatch that Super Bowl, what you see is Doug Peterson going through the playbook and not having a play to call.
Nah, man. Nah.
Like I'm so serious. I'm so serious. Like, dog, like when you watch it, literally, Doug Peterson doesn't have a play to call, and Foles is just standing there like, "You want Philly?" And he's like, "Yeah, let's do that." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, dog.
Man, I'm not gonna you'll turn it, Mark, man. I better when I go back and watch this, I better see footage of that, man, because you dragging this man.
No, I promise you, that's how it. Like that's how, like, because you heard the story about Foles calling it like and wanting Philly. Yes, but
with the Bears and with the Eagles, yeah.
Like he wanted to play, but
yeah.
He asked for the play.
This dude was fumbling through a playbook, Mark. That's what you're trying to tell me. Like, I'm trying to.
Yes. Like he was flipping through a playbook, and Foles was like, "Yo, let's do Philly," and he was like, "Oh, you know what? All right, let's do that." Like, dog.
He looked like Fonzie in Waterboy and shit with this little magical playbook and shit. He was flipping through the pages and stuff. Like,
all right, bro. Like, listen.
Like,
listen, I'm not saying that he wouldn't have called anything, but what I'm saying is that I'm looking at the count. I'm looking at this year where so many times where he just doesn't figure out what he's supposed to do in that situation. Like, for instance, the Steelers game where the field goal and all that shit, and he was trying to kick a 58-yard. No, not that game. The Cincinnati game where he went for the fucking tie, and like, like, yo,
hey man, you sound a little. You know what? Go ahead. You know he went for the tie. Go ahead, continue.
But yeah, the 58-yarder shit and all that. Like he was trying to line up the field to kick a 58-yard field goal. Like, dog, what are you doing? Like, even if Jake Elliott can hit a 58-yard field goal, that's not fucking ideal. Like, it's not the ideal distance for a field goal. Would you please get some more yards so that we can actually have a chance at this? But I'm going to move on from him, because it's not just him, but it's also Jim Schwartz's defense, who since the Super Bowl have been giving up crazy amount of yards. Like, this team in 2017 was built to protect the end zone, and it was able to do that. But that's not something that can remain consistent. You can't give up 300, 400 yards in a game and hope that your whole team's to field goals every time. That's insane. Like, so when it comes to the Eagles, yes, I hope this team blows it up, because I've seen so many times before with other teams where you don't blow it up and you waste the careers of these players.
Well, this, like, Mark, man, I'm not even gonna lie. Right now, it sounds like you wanted this topic just so you can talk about your Eagles, man. But
I can point this to any other team. Like, cause I can talk about Dallas wasting their time with Jason Garrett. I can talk about so many other teams. Like, again, another team that just wasted the years of T. You had T.O. on the team. You had T.O. and Tony Romo, and like, thank God for Jason Garrett, because Dallas has been trash because of Jason Garrett.
Well, what I will say is this, unless your team name is, I don't know, the Patriots or the Steelers, those are the only teams that I've seen be able to hit that mediocrity point and just bounce back like it ain't shit. Like, how many years the Steelers always hover around there, but they always have the talent. They always are a threat as long as just in recent memory, as long as Ben is healthy, they're a threat to go deep into the playoffs. Like, your organization isn't built from top to bottom. Nobody's organization is built from top to bottom the way that the Steelers are. So you can't expect that. No, they're the only ones that I can see that will always have that capability of all they need is one more piece, and then they can shoot off into being a danger to go to the Super Bowl. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're the only team that can do to dig themselves out of that 9-7 spot and still be able to draft well enough to get the players that they need or make the moves they need so that they can move up. Everybody else's team, I feel like if you hovering in that spot for too long, you just need to, something needs to happen. Something needs to happen for you to get out of there.
Okay. And here's another team that made me think of this. I just got stuck on the Eagles because I'm very passionate about my own team. But here's another team that made me think of this. The Houston Texans.
True, very true.
Like, the Houston Texans are another team who wasted the talent of several players behind Bill O'Brien. And now you don't have DeAndre Hopkins. You don't have Jadeveon Clowney. You don't have DeAndre Hopkins because of who?
True.
So I'm sure the Houston Texans fans are wishing that the Texans lost 1-15, like their record was 1-15 2 years ago. And if their record was 1-15 2 years ago, guess who still would be on their team? Jadeveon Clowney and DeAndre Hopkins. And I guarantee you they probably would be making real noise in the playoffs.
True.
So, like, this is like, so don't question. Basically, that's why I asked this question, is like, when do you start rooting for your team to lose? Because you risk looking like the Cincinnati Bengals. You risk being the Houston Texans. You risk being the current Philadelphia Eagles, or you risk being the Dallas Cowboys of the last 15 years. So, like you have, like, at some point,
that has to be a point to where you just say, let's blow it up.
Exactly.
And if you don't blow it up manually, then as a fan, obviously you don't have any input in that. So at a point where you're wanting them to blow it up, you're like, hey, well, if you're not going to blow it up, I just hope that other teams beat us.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. See, I feel you.
All right.
Oh, what we got next, man?
So next up, man, let's just talk football in general. Let's talk any games from this past week stand out to you?
Whew. You know what? I can't think of. Oh, you know what? Yeah, let's talk about the Rams.
Yeah.
And I'm not. And this is legit, not just because I'm a Niners fan. We mentioned this to each other briefly. The Rams. I feel like a real conversation needs to be had about them, considering, in concerns with their defense and their offense. It seems like eons ago, years ago, that they were having a 50-point shootout with the Chiefs that they won.
Mm-hmm.
And now it seems as though, they have more defensive players since then in their defense, albeit they're not giving up 50 points, their defense just seems like it's worse. And then on top of that, their offense seems like they can't score as much as they used to. The offense is now incapable of carrying the weight of the lack of defense. I feel like that team has had enough defensive players over the last 3 to 4 years, over the span of 3 to 4 years, that there's no reason why they should be consistently towards the bottom in the league when it comes to defense. Somebody has to be fired for that. Somebody has to be held responsible for that. I don't know what's going on, but I mean, we seen what you saw what my team did against your team. I watched my team struggle in the first half versus the Giants. There's absolutely no reason why we should have been blowing them out of the water. You know what I mean? There's absolutely no reason, considering, I still feel like Garoppolo shouldn't have been in the game. I still feel like he's nursing that injury with the ankle, with the high ankle sprain. Deebo Samuel literally didn't play, didn't do any camp, didn't do anything like that because he was injured. So this is his second game back. He's still trying to get his legs underneath him. There's just so much wrong with our team, and for some reason, we play the Rams and we look like a well-oiled machine. Josh Allen didn't look the same this week, but man, against the Rams, boy, did he look like an MVP. They're giving up MVP performances to QBs around the league at this point, and it bothers me that their defense is this bad, but they still fail. They're still unwilling to commit to the run. So that's the game that stands out to me, and it's not for a good reason, but I'm just wondering when the rest of the media is going to catch up to questioning how good is Sean McVay as a coach really. Because that's where I'm at now, Mark. I don't know about you, but I mean, at some point, man, they've spent all the money. They spent more money than Cleveland did when LeBron came back for the second time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even understand. Like, we were joking about it. Like, how, like, are they paying people under the table? Are they just, like, we were trying to figure out how they had the roster that they had. And somehow it's amounting to nothing. So I feel like the question has to be asked within the organization, and the media has to catch up and start asking the questions about what is exactly wrong with the Rams. What do you think, Mark?
We talked off air, and that is absolutely fair. I think, honestly, from what I've seen, I don't know if it's McVay just coming down to earth or if it's McVay outsmarting himself, because his offensive play calling isn't nearly anything like it was their Super Bowl year or their Super Bowl run year or the year prior to their Super Bowl run year. So I'm confused as to why he went away from it after losing the Super Bowl. Like, yeah, everybody knew you weren't going to win that Super Bowl, but like, you completely abandoned a system that was working really well for this system that seems to be just average at best. And which is 1,000% isn't getting the best out of your quarterback. Like, that's for sure. So, yes, there should be a lot of questions around McVay, but you and I have had this conversation several times, and we've also questioned McVay in what, our second episode ever.
Yeah, we did. We talked about the top 10 coaches. Yeah.
Yes, we're like, if anybody want to listen, we talk about the CBS rankings of the top 10 coaches for the year. And I will say that I do feel as though the season's playing out, our rankings are looking pretty good right now.
I feel like it is. Bruce Arians gave me a little scare there in the beginning of the season, but it's starting to look like what I thought it would look like. Another thing about the Rams that I wanted to mention is, and I kept my mouth shut last year, but it seems as though there's not very much effectiveness and disruptiveness coming from Aaron Donald. Now I don't want to blame it on him. I don't know whose fault it is. I don't know whether it's a him thing. I don't know whether it's a defensive coordinator thing, but typically in these games when they're getting lit up, it's through the air. We lit them up through the air. If you have Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald on the same team, I'm not understanding how this is happening. So I'm still kind of skittish on whether or not I want to put the onus on Aaron Donald, because when I watch games, I can count. I still see the plays where he's being disruptive in the middle and it's causing an issue, but for some reason it's not translating. It's not translating on the field fully. So I don't know what's going on with that, but something. Yeah. Have you noticed the same thing
With
Aaron Donald?
Honestly, I noticed enough to say that it's a question, but I haven't looked at him specifically enough to give you an answer to the question.
Okay.
So, but I will be paying more attention now going forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. Just there's something going on with the Rams where you expect them to be a dominant force, and they have the pieces on paper to suggest that they could be a dominant force, but it's not translating. So
can't quite put a finger on it,
Yeah. So I don't know, man. But with that, I think what's the next topic? Well, what's another
unless
team
you had a game that you were paying attention to.
Well, the game that I paid attention to obviously was the Eagles game for me, and another game I paid attention to, which was the Monday night game, the Chiefs versus the Bills game. And I've been paying attention, and I paid attention to that mostly because I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not a true believer in Josh Allen. Like, I believe that he is a good quarterback. I don't think he's great, and I think he's somewhere between average and good right now. And I think a lot of what we've been seeing where he has been good or above average has to do with the teams that he's been playing against. Because through 2 weeks now, we've watched him be average against better teams. We watched him be average. I expected the Rams to be one of those defenses that would show a true test for him, but as we have just seen recently, the Rams are not who we thought they were. They're just not. They haven't been living up to it defensively or offensively. So now I have to throw out what I saw from him against the Rams as not a true statement. When I watch the struggling San Francisco 49ers do something, and I watched they played Miami this year, correct?
They did.
And I watched Miami as well be able to make noise against this defense. So it just
Well,
suggests that Josh Allen isn't quite that guy yet.
okay, so my thoughts on Josh Allen, it just goes, I'm another one of these quarterbacks that because he happened to be in that group, because you can't just have one or two quarterbacks coming out of college. You got to start hyping people up at the end of their college career. And I felt like Josh Allen was one of those guys. We had already been hearing about, Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen. Like we've been hearing about them. Josh Allen popped up once he showcased his arm. And he also has ability to be mobile, and run. So I felt like that's all he was. He came into the league. He did better than I expected him to when he finally got the opportunity to play. And then last year, I was pleasantly surprised by his production. Like I said, I had him on a fantasy team last year, so I was able to watch him play. And I was actually watching him play, and I told you he didn't have any bad per se games until the playoff game against the Titans, and it was bad. Like he had a really bad game. Like he choked the entire fourth quarter. Now with that said, I'm now looking at his start this year, and I'm like, man, this guy is he's just surprising me left and right. Like, because I thought last year's performance throughout his consistency that he showed last year and to be able to find a way to win the games that they did enough to get to the playoffs last year, I thought that was impressive and was more than I expected from him. This year was definitely a surprise, even after last year. And I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, I don't even understand what's happening here. And yes, Mark, I'm with you. I believe in my heart of hearts that, what my eyes tell me is that he is somewhere between average and good. I think he's closer to the good side than he is the average side, but it's not very, but his numbers are saying different, right?
Right.
And instead of me taking the time to speak about how I think that he's not what his stats say, I want to take this time to say that out of all of these Shawn coaches, Shawn McDermott doesn't get a lot of press. He doesn't get a lot of credit for what he's been able to do with this Bills roster, because I mentioned it yesterday when we were talking about the game. I was like, they really need a real running back. They haven't had a real running back in a while. Frank Gore was balling for them last year. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you're talking about a team that doesn't have a running back, really. Yes, they have a defense, but they don't have a running back. You have, yes, this year they have Stephon Diggs, but we're talking about they got everybody sloppy seconds. They got John Brown from the Cardinals. They got Cole Beasley from the Cowboys. These are the weapons that he's working with, and somehow he's finding ways to throw for 300, 400 yards. And I'm not going to give all that credit to Josh Allen. So I feel as though Sean McDermott, I'm going to be paying a lot more close attention to what he's doing, but it seems as though he is a legit coach. He's another one of these young hotshot coaches that are supposed to be doing something. And I can't put my finger on what he's doing to make this happen, but clearly he's been masking Josh Allen's deficiencies very well over these last 3 years.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So.
No, go ahead.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know where I was going with that. So if you had,
no, that was it. That's all I have for that. I know you wanted to get into next week's games.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
So just going to look at next week's games here. I'm just going to ask you, and I actually want to do a new thing where we start noting what we what we find here, and we'll see. We'll see.
You keep the score now. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to keep score.
Do it. I'm ready for that.
We're going to keep score and see who comes out on top at the end of each week. So, first game I have here up on the Yahoo Sports screen is the New York Giants versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Who you got and why?
The Eagles, believe it or not, the Eagles have shown me something over these past 2 weeks. They show me enough to lead me to believe that they'll be able to beat the Giants. But let's be 1,000% clear about this. If Daniel Jones was not the quarterback of the Giants, then I would be concerned for the Eagles right now. But Daniel Jones is the quarterback. I'm just saying the Giants defense has been getting better and better each week. Granted, I mean, I still find them somewhere in the middle of defenses and maybe closer, maybe on a little bit below that middle mark. But they are getting better. They have some young guys that are making plays in each game. Philly's ineptitude when it comes to play calling and their talent at wide receiver is what's going to be the problem for them in this game. But I'm going to go ahead and say that the Eagles pull out the victory in that one.
All right. I'm going to say that on paper, even with all the injuries, you know what? Honestly, knowing the Eagles, it's a Thursday night game.
Don't do it, Mark.
Giants haven't been able to beat the Eagles at all in 4 or 5 years. And
you saying the Giants are due?
The Giants are due. They are due.
Daniel, I know how you feel about Daniel Jones, Mark.
He's trash. He's trash.
Are you telling me that he's going to do enough to pull this off?
He's trash. But here's the concern, though. Here's the concern. The Eagles have Haloli Vaitai, and they have Jason Kelsey. Everybody else on that offensive line is absolutely trash. They do have Travis Fulgham and Greg Ward, but outside of that, Zach Ertz is hurt. Miles Sanders is hurt. Boston Scott isn't very good.
The Giants are good against the run. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, so there's just so many. The Eagles have so much going on right now that.
I need you to say it, Mark. Just say it, man.
All right, New York. I'm gonna call New York Giants on this one.
Oh man, that's a wild thing, man, Mark. I understand you lost faith, but come on, brother, come on. Now, this is what I'll say. This is what I think. You do understand that I don't believe that the Giants can win the game on the ground.
Right.
You do understand that, considering that. That's the one thing that your team can do is stop that.
But even that, we can't. It's
what I'm saying. So you think Devontae Freeman is going to go off?
No, it's okay. I said, I can't tell you.
You know what? I'm gonna let you take. You got your pick. You got your pick. I'm just trying to make sure that you understand what you're saying about your team.
Yes,
okay.
I understand.
All right, you understand fully. All right, cool. You grown ass. All right, let's go.
Detroit. Next up, I have is Detroit versus Atlanta.
Detroit versus Atlanta. I'll be honest with you. Atlanta's been such a wild mixed bag of whatever. I can't even tell you what's going to come of this, but I can say this: if they can't stop the run, they're going to lose to Detroit.
No,
because Adrian Peterson is looking crazy. But
no, Dan Quinn. I got the Atlanta Falcons.
No, Well, I'm picking the Falcons too, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Is they better make sure that that's where they protect, because
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson still wants to break the record for career yards, and he's running as if he's trying to break the record. I mean, as far as his effort goes, his numbers might not be what it was when he was there, but the man's running the ball like a grown ass man. So, but once again, Falcons should win this. Falcons, I just feel like in the end, Matt Patricia is absolutely garbage as a coach. I feel like he is not a great defensive coach, and I feel like those deficiencies on defense is what's going to have the Falcons light them up. I feel like the Falcons are going to go into this game, score probably roughly around 28 points and 28 to 30 points, and they're going to dispose of them.
Right.
So I got the Falcons in this game.
But yeah, so I'm right there with you on that one. But I have Atlanta Falcons all the way. With no Dan Quinn, and as bad as I think Detroit actually is, I got Atlanta.
That's it. Dan Quinn gone. They winning games, baby. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, they did. Well, I can't say they didn't. So yeah.
So next I have Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals. It's a 1 p.m. start for Sunday. Who you got?
Oh, you talking about the Doodoo Bowl? Okay. Yeah.
You say that, but Cleveland Browns are 4-2.
They are, and I'll be honest with you. You know what? I'm not gonna dig into it. They lit up some bad defenses, but I'm not saying that they haven't looked better than they have. They've looked better now than they have in the past year. So I'll give them that. I'm not just gonna completely shit on them. Them versus the Bengals. I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm going to go out on a limb and take the Bengals here. I like everything that I've been seeing from what's his name right now? I am losing my train of thought. The quarterback. I'm trying not to
Joe
say
Burrow?
Burrow. It was a B. I'm trying not to say Blake Bortles. But so Joe Burrow. I like what I'm seeing from Joe Burrow, everything that I've seen from him this year. He's getting better and better each game. The chemistry between him and T. Higgins is starting to evolve. And Joe Mixon, as much as he still is not really averaging what I would like to see him average on the ground, they are not abandoning the run in Cincinnati, and they're actually protecting their boy Joe Burrow and running Mixon on the goal line to get touchdowns. I feel like Cincinnati's defense is better than some people might think it is, and I feel like when it comes down to it, this is going to be a battle of the two quarterbacks, and I just have more faith in Burrow than I do Baker Mayfield. Right.
Well, what I have going on here, I have part of me wants to take the Bengals simply because I think that they're due. But Cleveland's defense is pretty good, and you have Joe Burrow, that offensive line for the Bengals is just horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. The fact that they won their past game is a little outstanding to me. But then on Cleveland's side, you have Baker Mayfield, who is just I just hate betting on Baker Mayfield in any situation.
Now,
shoot. So,
one thing I'll remind you, Mark, this is the AFC East, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. You know how these division games go.
Right.
I'm expecting another 3-point game between these two. So,
Listen,
like I said, I just trust Burrow in that scenario more than I trust Baker Mayfield.
listen. I'm gonna take the dark horse, and I'm gonna say Cleveland wins this.
It's crazy that you have to say Cleveland's a dark horse, but go ahead. like they clearly have the better record. They clearly have more weapons. What the fuck is going on in Cleveland? Like they're 4-2, and people are still like, "Nah, dog, I don't believe it."
Because
Like,
it's so unbelievable.
nobody believes that shit. They were 4-1 last week. I was like, they're one of the best teams in the NFL right now. Like these motherfuckers will have a bye week. Like
And you see what happened to them. They got cleaned the fuck up too.
Hey, cleaned up, man. But go ahead. So you got the Browns, I got the Bengals. All right, what's next?
All right. The battle of the undefeated: Pittsburgh versus Tennessee.
Whew. Man. If you would have asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have picked Tennessee outright. But with Claypool on the scene, it changes things for me a little bit. Pittsburgh has a defense. I don't know, man. I honestly think I'm just gonna have to go with the Steelers on this one. With the emergence of Claypool, the Jonnu Smith injury, I think those are huge factors. And Ryan Tannehill is not going to be able to dot up the Pittsburgh defense the way that he did this past week. With who did they play this past week? I don't even remember. But he's not going to have that type of a performance,
right?
So that's my thing. And in a close match, I told you how much I like Vrabel as a coach. Kind of looked at me a little sideways when I was talking about his coaching ability, but I really like Vrabel as a coach. But I just feel like this is a situation to where if Ben is in his bag and he's got Claypool as a weapon, that's going to be an issue.
All right. Well, I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. But I'm going to take them with the caveat. If the Titans make this,
what the fuck is that? Come on, man. Go ahead.
If the Titans make the decision to run the ball, like to get the job done through the ground, Titans will win this game. If they decide to focus through the ground. If they try it through the air, it's not going to work.
Mark,
what?
Funny thing about this is, like I said, I really like Mike Vrabel, and I feel like he's different. But I'm still concerned about the status quo in the NFL. They're going to make it. It's going to get promoted as a quarterback matchup.
No,
it's going to get you. So you understand. So
no,
you understand.
I get it. No, but that's why. But that's why I'm taking. That's why I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers. But
man, yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if the Titans decide to focus on getting it done through the ground, Pittsburgh is in trouble.
I would like to think that Mike Vrabel is who I think he is. And if he is who I think he is, then he will commit to the run and he will try to get it done on the ground. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm really going to be looking at this game to see what Mike Vrabel does because, like I said, I feel like he's on his way to becoming one of the next great coaches. But this is definitely going to be a short game.
My thing about this matchup is, as good as Pittsburgh Steelers linebacking core is, they're built for speed. And
you don't like Devin Bush?
I do, but he just got hurt.
I guess it's a valid point. They are built for speed. I'm over here reaching, man. They're built for speed. I don't think they don't have guys like James Harrison anymore.
Right.
They're not built like that. There's no Polamalu back there. I like Minka, but he's a small guy. Yeah,
like they're built for speed and finesse.
Yeah.
And Derrick Henry can punch you in the mouth, and if he starts coming out there with a head full of steam, I don't see how anybody is stopping him on the first contact. So
They got guys like, and most of their better guys are on the edge, and that's the issue.
right. So
Having T.J. Watt and Hayward and those guys, like those guys are on the edge. So yeah, they're gonna have to figure it out. They're gonna have to figure it out for sure. But I'm still taking the Steelers.
yeah, and I guess I took the Steelers as well.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying, yeah. So all right.
Carolina versus New Orleans. I'm going to take Carolina in this.
Oh, I'm taking Carolina, but I want you to explain your Carolina pick before I get into mine.
I'm gonna take Carolina in this because the Saints defense is highly inconsistent, and offensively, Panthers are, outside of this past week, Panthers have been trending up, and Robbie Anderson has come alive, and Mike Davis is a real problem, and I'm just going to leave it at that. But New Orleans does get Michael Thomas back, and that could be a real issue. So
yeah, and I was just gonna bring that up. So funny story. So you have man, I seen somebody post a bowl of ramen noodles and said a live look at Drew Brees right now. So like it when we first brought it up after week 1, I don't feel like everybody caught on, but everybody in the world is aware of Drew Brees' arm situation right now. Right. So the issue that I'm having with this is, in the past, yes, Michael Thomas has gone off for 12, 15 catches and all these things. It sounds like a lot, but when you compare it to the 50 attempts that Drew Brees, or the 40 attempts that Drew Brees is about to have, you really got to look at it and say, okay, well, yes, he caught most of it, but he was passing to other guys. I'm not going to question whether or not he's going to be able to pass to Michael Thomas. We already know he's just running 5-yard slants. You know what I'm saying? Like, we already know what his route tree looks like. And this ain't exactly going to be a, hey, I got a point to prove game. They're not going to send him on no deep routes and no fucking, no. They're going to be like, Michael Thomas, we need you to do these short routes, do them up nice, make sure Drew Brees looks good. My question comes in when it comes to how are they going to utilize the other players? How are they going to utilize Emmanuel Sanders? How are you going to utilize Traquan Smith? I feel like Carolina is going to go into this game with the game plan of, don't worry about nothing past 20 yards because we don't have to. And that's gonna pose a problem. And yes, I'm with you. I don't believe in Saints defense. So the way that Teddy Bridgewater has quietly been playing really good. You know what I mean? He's been making DJ Moore and Ryan Anderson look like one of the better wide receiver duos in the NFL. So, and they are not shying away from letting him pass the ball. I definitely got Carolina in this game. I just feel like they're going to, it's question mark, where is this game being played at?
It's at Saints, I believe.
I guess they have a chance since it's in the dome, but I don't even know if that dome shit matters anymore with the way Drew Brees' arm is going. So yeah, Drew Brees' arm is going to be the reason why they lose this game.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Buffalo versus New York Jets. No need to talk about this. Buffalo wins this.
Hey, man. Like, is Flacco still playing? Is Flacco still starting?
I don't care who starts. It don't matter.
You're right. It doesn't matter who's starting. The only honestly, the only thing that you can rely on is the fact that Jamison Crowder is probably going to get like 10 catches. But outside of that, there's nothing else that's going to happen on offense for the Jets, and their defense ain't good enough to do anything else. I'm taking the Bills. I feel like it's gonna be a blowout.
All right. Okay. Dallas versus the Washington football team. I'm going to take Dallas in this contest. I think that they have a bad taste in their mouth from their performance against the Cardinals. And although I do not think Andy Dalton is an amazing quarterback, I do think that he is better than what the performance of the team against the Cardinals showed. So, and not only that, but the Washington football team is a bad football team. So I'm going to go with Dallas Cowboys.
I'll say this: the Cardinals' defense, they're weird. They've been a little wishy-washy this season, but I do recall watching them play the Niners before we had 1,000 injuries, and they were able to slow us down when we had our entire running backs, our entire backfield healthy. They were able to slow down Kittle and things of that nature. So I'm going to think about that. And like I said, they've been spotty. There's been games where they've given it up, but that defense, because what game are we talking about right now?
We're talking about the Dallas football team versus Washington.
Versus Washington. I don't know. Why am I talking about the Cardinals right now?
Because Dallas just played the Cardinals.
Oh, no, that's right. Okay, my bad. So, yeah, I don't know what happened. I just lost my train of thought. But, yeah, no. So, their defense is pretty good, And I feel like this game that Andy Dalton had is going to be the worst game that he's going to have for the rest of the season. It's his first game as a starter. It just is what it is. I feel like that's the worst performance he's going to have, considering what I've seen from the Arizona defense. So this situation going into this game, there's too many problems with there's way too many problems with the Redskins, with the Washington football team's offensive line at this point. It looked like open season on the quarterbacks last week. I just don't see how, I don't see how that situation improves.
Well, I will say this. What I would like to see Ron Rivera give Dwayne Haskins his fucking job back. Because clearly the guy that you benched him for isn't doing no better. And nobody else is doing any better. So give him his fucking job back. Or otherwise you're just hating on
maybe
him.
He's trying to protect him. Maybe he's trying to protect him. Well, never mind. You know what? He's not trying to protect him from the Dallas defense. He better be playing against Dallas. But I will say this. Dallas defense is the absolute worst in the NFL, if you ask me. I'm expecting Gibson to have a day. I'm expecting Terry McLaurin to have a game. But that offensive line is so horrible in Washington that I don't see how it's even possible for them to win this game. Dallas defense might actually look like something in this game. Okay. So I'm taking Dallas.
Yeah, a lot of words for two terrible teams. Anyway, Green Bay versus Houston. I'm going to take Green Bay in this game simply because Green Bay's coming off of a terrible loss, and they're going to have a point to prove. They're not going to take this one sitting down. Houston isn't all that good defensively, and offensively they're not as good to be able to take advantage of what Green Bay is terrible at, which is the run. So I got Green Bay in this one.
Man, I don't know. This is going to be a shootout for sure.
Oh, for sure, but I'm
not expecting anything less. Because it's going to be a shootout, there's a chance that Houston can win this game.
They're not, though. Just make your
the chance that Houston can. I'm going with the Packers because they will be running the ball. The Packers have made a commitment this year to feeding the running backs, but then also still finding a healthy balance to let when it comes to letting Aaron Rodgers be himself. Mm-hmm. So because of that healthy balance of still being able to run the ball 30 times and have Aaron Rodgers throw about 40 times, because of that, I'm going to go ahead and take the Packers. I just think they're going to come in with a balanced game plan. And I feel like Houston, like you said, they have to run the ball if they want to win. And I feel like that's not going to be a priority for them.
Right. All right. So, and next up is Seattle versus Arizona. I have Seattle winning this one simply because they have been so dominant up until this point. I just have them taking on another win, especially seeing how they're coming off of their first bye. So they should be refreshed and ready to go. And yeah, that's just how I have it. But this is yet another shootout I see because Seattle's defense hasn't been the greatest. And Arizona had Kyler Murray has been moving on offense, but it will be nice to see Russell Wilson play against his son for the first time ever.
Play against his son. That's funny though. I believe we did have a reference of Kyler reminded me of Russell Wilson in an earlier episode. But yes, in this game, I'm taking the Seahawks. This is just the way that Russell Wilson is playing. He's just having one of these years. There's absolutely nothing. Like, I don't even care if the Seattle defense comes out, shits the bed. I don't care if, their running backs get hurt. It's just one of those things to where the type of year that Russell Wilson is having this year, I'm not betting against him. That's just where I'm at. I'm probably going to pick the Seahawks to win every single game that they play. So as of right now, I'm going to say the Seahawks. I'm concerned about, you said it's going to be a shootout. The thing that I'm concerned about with the Cardinals is these last two games, DeAndre Hopkins has gotten out to a slow start, partially due to, the way that Kyler Murray plays. He still hasn't balanced out feeding his number one receiver and also balance that out with the amount of times that he decides to take off running. So I feel like because I'm expecting the Cardinals to get out to a slightly slow start, that is not going to be a recoverable window for them to come back from. It's not going to be that deficit that happens in the first half is not going to be recoverable.
Who you said you was taking again?
The Seahawks. I'm taking them probably every week this year.
Yeah, for sure. Like, that's just happening. Yeah, another game that really doesn't need to be talked about, Kansas City versus Denver. Like, I'm taking Kansas City in every game throughout the year without context. It doesn't even matter. Just Kansas City
I'm at that
everybody.
point as well, I mean, I've been at that point, with when it comes to Patrick Mahomes. So, I mean, obviously, I'm not expecting both teams, the Seahawks and the Chiefs, to go undefeated. Somebody's going to surprise us, but I'm not picking against them. If
Kansas City already has their loss. So.
Well, I know what I still picked them to win that game. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not, I still don't think that they're going to win the rest of these games, but if you try to ask me to pick out which one they're going to lose, I can't do that. So I'm picking the Chiefs. I guess that's pretty much it there. Denver is not equipped to deal with most teams in the NFL right now.
Right. And San Francisco versus New England. I am taking New England in this one. I think they have a bounce back game. I think Cam does this type of stuff. He'll play bad and then he'll play great the next game. And San Francisco's defense is still pretty bad, despite the fact that the Rams were terrible. The San Francisco defense, due to injury, is still pretty bad. So I'm going to take New England in this game.
Yeah, this is a situation to where I think people are looking at the Patriots and it's like, yeah, they got Cam Newton, but they still have Bill Belichick as a head coach. And, you better believe that he's going to be attacking our defense where we're the thinnest. He's going to avoid the linebacker core. He's going to avoid the front line, and he's going to go straight for the jugular in our secondary. That's what I'm expecting. And then I don't know if they can do anything about our running game, but fortunately for the Patriots, Raheem Mostert is more than likely going to end up on the injury reserve. So we're back down to Jerick McKinnon. So there's not as much as we can't do as much on the ground as we would like to.
Mm-hmm.
But that part of making that little bit of making us a little bit more one dimensional when it comes to the running, that's enough. I expect the Patriots to win this by at least two scores.
Right. And Jacksonville versus the Chargers. Somebody has to win this one. A 1-5 team versus a 1-4 team. I have the Chargers winning this one. They are just a more competent offense, and that's just where I'm at with that.
In Herbert, I trust. Anytime it comes down to these close games where I feel like it's going to be, a one-score game, I always just lean on who do I think is the quarterback that can get it done. Not just who's the better quarterback, but who's the quarterback that I think is going to get it done in the end of the game. I think both of them have the ability to kind of shake off the pressure, but I think Herbert is head and shoulders above Gardner Minshew when it comes to this. So I'm leaning on the Chargers. I'm going with the Chargers for my pick.
Alrighty, and last two teams. Gonna make it quick. This should be a good game, but I have Tampa Bay over the Raiders. I believe, are the Raiders still dealing with the injury to Darren Waller?
I believe so.
Yeah, so that doesn't help their chances at all. And
Huge part of the offense.
yeah, he's a huge part of the offense, and if he is still dealing with that injury, then that's going to be a huge problem for them. And as far as Tampa Bay goes, I have it's just their offense is clicking, and it seems like their defense finally started clicking. So I got Tampa Bay in this one.
Yes, what I wanted to mention was I'm starting to lose a little bit of faith in the Raiders defense as the games go on, and I believe that is actually going to be the deciding factor in this game is the two defenses, not the two offenses. I feel like Tampa Bay's defense, when you talk about them clicking, they're going to give up the yardage, but they seem to be making plays and causing turnovers. And basically, I believe that Tampa Bay is going to win the turnover battle. And then I believe we're still going to have us a shootout here. So, but with that said, I believe that the turnovers is going to be the difference, and the Tampa Bay Bucks are the better team at getting those turnovers. And you're still dealing with, Tom Brady isn't exactly himself, but you're still, if you're going to ask me who's going to make a mistake first, it's going to be Derek Carr.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting some slip ups with Derek Carr, but I'm taking the Bucks. What you got?
I'm not seeing Darren Waller on the injury report. So
okay.
but either way, with or without him, I just don't see it going well for them. So
yeah, but I'll be a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, actually, I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. So I'll just say
he's a limited participant. He's been a limited participant.
So that means he'll probably play. It's a big game. He'll probably play. It's John Gruden facing Tampa Bay. They're going to make a deal about it.
Right.
He'll probably play, but we'll see what kind of condition he's in. He might not be playing at 100%. But once again, I just want to make it clear. I think this is going to be a 40-point game for both teams. I think this might be one of the more exciting games going into this week. So,
right. And lastly, I have the last team I have is Chicago versus the Rams, and I'm going to take Chicago in this one. You and I have expressed our issues with Los Angeles defense, and the Bears are they're unfathomably finding ways to get it done. I'm like, oh, okay. It's not pretty, but these are W's, and they're
I feel like
5-1.
they've lost so many more games, but every time I look at their record, I'm just like, okay, they're winning. I'm trying to figure it out, Mark. It doesn't.
Right.
I feel like I'm watching the game and they're losing, and then at the end of the game, it says they won. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah,
But
like I said, they're not losing. So
yeah,
I just got to deal with it as that they're not losing, and like I said, we have questions about the Rams offense and what's going on, and with Khalil Mack back there, I think it's going to be an issue. So
yeah.
I
And
got the Bears.
for me, I'm taking the Bears, but my reasoning is slightly different. I just see it as the Bears defense finally, finally under Nagy, this Bears defense is finally looking like they can stop somebody. They have, I just think these last two games have shown me something a little bit different than what I've been seeing from their defense. Hopefully there's some level of consistency in the future for them, but the way that their defense has been playing for the past 2 weeks, and then considering who they have at quarterback, I know the Bears fans ain't exactly 1,000% on the Foles bandwagon right now, but I mean, considering those two things, I believe that they'll be able to squeak out this victory versus the Rams. The Rams have shown that, man, if you have any talent on offense, they are very beatable.
Right.
So,
So yeah, exactly right. And lastly, man, let's just go ahead, get out of here, and make this somewhat quick. Talk this fantasy life. All right. So fantasy wasn't. I went 1-3 this week. Won my game out, but in fantasy, a lot of games that should have went one way went completely different way. Like the Colts giving up 21 points in the first quarter against the Cincinnati Bengals. That obviously hurt me at using that defense.
oh
And
yeah, that's hurt.
but that's the right play. But that was the right play to make because like it was Cincinnati's defense versus the number one fantasy defense, the Indianapolis Colts, who on paper and in real life have been pretty good. So it is what it is. And then, like where the San Francisco 49ers are very beatable through the air, the Rams were terrible through the air this week. So
Doesn't even make sense.
yeah, it doesn't make sense at all. DeAndre Hopkins didn't have the game that that you would normally expect from him. So it's just a lot of shenanigans going on, and you just got to deal with it. But how did you do this week?
I did okay. I went 2-1. My one loss, it was just a perfect storm of my opponent having everybody go off, coupled with everybody on my bench. Well, not everybody on my bench, but a lot of my team being on a bye week. And then also adding to that some subpar performances from guys that I expect better from. Edelman gave me 4 points. Zach Ertz gave me 7, but I guess I'm expecting that from him this year. Madison, come on, let's talk about it. I know you had him on the squad too. Madison completely.
That was another one, yes.
4 points against Atlanta. Are you kidding me? Like that was devastating. And then I got I have Jamison Crowder and Ryan Anderson, and they both gave me their worst performances of the year, with 11 and 11 for both of them. So. But like I said, that guy had Fuller go off for 24, Ronald Jones for 26, Kelsey 21. Denver defense gave him 19. So, like, I mean, like I said, perfect storm. I got trounced. I got beat by, does that look like almost 70 points, So it is what it is. But so other than that, I think, okay, so I'm going into the no drama league, and let me look at my game there. I know I won that one. Okay. Nothing really outstanding about the performances that I had, except for what really won me the game, put me over the edge, was Julio Jones' 33-point performance. He finally came through. And then the Giants' defense against Washington gave me 18 points in that league. They do their defensive scoring a little differently, but either way, that's still high points for that league. And then, last but not least, Mark, let's talk about our matchup that we had. We had a matchup in the trash league. So I really felt bad for you, Mark. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I didn't even get the best performances that I could have gotten from my guys, but it didn't matter because, I'm looking at the lineup. You played everybody that you were supposed to. Derrick Henry gave you 40, but you played Madison against Atlanta. No Cook there. He gave you 4 points. You play Tyreek Hill against Buffalo. I understand that they have a guy out there, Tre'Davious White, but you still expect more than 5 points from him. Cooper Kupp. I'm talking about Cooper Kupp should have feasted, and he gave you 4. Jonnu Smith goes down in the first quarter. I don't know what else could have went wrong for you, Mark, but everything that could go wrong went wrong, and that's what it was. So, but I'll still take my victory. You know what I mean? I'll take that. And the worst thing that's happening to me in that league right now, Mark, is that I won because I jumped up from 7th place to 5th place, and I've been looking for a running back. Nobody wants to make any trades with me. Lo and behold, Raheem Mostert is injured. They say he's going to be gone, maybe go on IR. Jerick McKinnon is out there, and there's about a 0% chance that I'm going to get him on a waiver wire.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I definitely, that the win is a loss for me in that department, but I got hitters at every single position except for running back. But if Ronald Jones is going to continue to give me 26-point performances, maybe I don't need another running back.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. The Madison thing was the one that took the cake for me because, and I meant to talk about that when we was talking about football in general, because that was the game that I was paying attention to because of the Vikings coming into that game with a terrible game plan. Atlanta is abysmal against the run, and you decide that you want to pass. Like, I understand that you were down big early and Kirk Cousins was throwing interceptions all over the place.
Well, he wouldn't be throwing interceptions if y'all was running the ball.
Exactly. So regardless of the fact that you're down big, the fact is that Atlanta is so bad against the run, and Madison is actually a good runner, and you guys are good at running, that you would have picked up big chunk plays, at least theoretically. So, but you never attempted or tried to do that. So I have a problem with that. But outside of that, no, I'm fine. Is there anything that you have, I guess, any waiver wire standouts in your mind this week?
Yes, the number one, like I just mentioned, Jerick McKinnon is going to be the number one waiver wire pickup. I know some people are probably disappointed in Andy Dalton. Everybody's fighting over him. Tua, if Tua has not been picked up in your league, pick him up. The breaking news happened right before we started recording, saying that they have just announced Tua as the starter for the Dolphins. And right now, I am trusting everything that they're doing offensively. I don't know if it's going to translate as well. How much of that is Fitzpatrick and how much of that is the coaching? But at this point, I don't know, man. I have a lot of faith in Tua, and I know what his skill sets are. I would look at Tua if you're needing a quarterback. But outside of Tua and McKinnon, I really don't know if there's much else out there. It's like a barren wasteland out there on the waiver wire, Mark.
Yeah, yeah. We're coming down to the wire with that. And with that being said, I am. With that being said, I don't have anything left. I'm being messaged a timer emoji by my baby's mother. So time to wrap it up, B. That's what they say.
Wrap it up, B. The sign is real simple.
You know what I'm saying? Like, as you can see, you see that, people, the timer emoji right there.
Yeah, yeah.
So it is what it is. But it was a pleasure. This will actually, I appreciate the gift, man. And I love it. It's heavy as hell. So I'm looking forward to buying a mic stand for it and having that set up. So
yeah. So you're welcome, man. Happy birthday again, once again.
Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it. And looking forward to our next episode, and where we'll be talking about the UFC matchup. And so that means Tyrone will be back on, and hopefully we'll have your friend on as well with Tyrone, and they can have their little back and forth about Izzy or whatever else.
Definitely.
So that'll be cool. But yeah, I think this was a excellent episode, and shout out to everybody out there that's listening. We are growing. Appreciate you guys listening. Appreciate you guys watching.
Yes, we hit an important milestone over the last 24 hours. We hit over 100 likes on our Facebook page. I appreciate everybody that has liked the page up until this point, and I just hope that you guys are tuning in, listening. We're working on definitely going to continue to try to provide you guys with more content. What I'm thinking about is to celebrate this milestone is I'm thinking about a giveaway. And the reason why I'm thinking about it right now, Mark, I didn't tell you, but I know you've seen the little mug that I've been drinking out of. I'm going to go ahead and showcase this now. I brought some things back from St. Thomas, from my trip to St. Thomas. Yes, that is pure white Henny. So thinking about doing a giveaway for a bottle of pure white Henny. But we'll release those details on the Facebook page. So please go to our Facebook page, the Eye Test Network. You can find us that way. And I'll have the details for that once you guys, maybe in the next day or two. So thank you for helping us reach our milestone.
Yes.
Milestone, 100 likes on our Facebook page.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Please help us continue to grow. Share with your friends. Share with anyone that's out there, and share with your family. Anybody that enjoys our kind of humor. Just help us get to a place where this is something that we could do full time and invest more into it. Anyway, so with that being said, man, appreciate you. I'm probably going to holler at you in a little bit because you ain't got shit else to do. So it's just going to be me and my baby here. So maybe we'll get on some duty or something later.
Well, you take care of that little timer emoji, you know what I'm saying? And then you hit me back after that. How about that?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Duty calls. Family comes first. What can I say?
Yeah. Family first, man. Yep.
All righty. Peace, man.
All right, man. Later.